Thank you very much. I'm very honored to be here tonight, my time, morning your time. As Mark said, I'm the Chief Publishing Officer of the American Physiological Society, and I'm here today to talk to you a little about our society's journey toward an equitable and sustainable open access future. So first, I thought I would tell you a little bit about us as an organization. So we are a nonprofit scientific society that also serves as a publisher of 16 scientific journals. And critically, as a nonprofit organization, we reinvest all of the income that we earn from our publications back into the operating budget that serves the mission of the society. And also, equally important is that we are actually governed by scientists. We are governed by member leader board that is driven by strategic goals that are outlined every 3 years. And one of the things that we've been very focused on here at APS is to educate our community about the benefits of publishing with a society like ours. And we launched a program called Publish with Purpose starting back in 2019. And the idea around it was to really encourage people to publish with us because when they do so, they're making a purposeful choice to support a community of scientists and educators that are dedicated to solving major problems that affect life and health. And as an organization, we have a mission to empower scientists to understand life and improve health, and by advancing and communicating discoveries in physiology and medicine. And we really do believe that physiology is foundational to advancing scientific discovery in the life sciences. And so we're very focused on dedicating our time to making sure that that message gets out about the discipline. So it might be helpful if I share a little bit about our history with open access here at APS. So one of the first things that we did as an organization, and it was really years ago, is that we began to make our content openly available on our platform with a 12-month embargo. And in addition, we also have made available for many years an optional gold OA solution for any authors that need to publish open access or wish to publish open access on our platform. In addition, we sponsor an education journal that is free to read and to publish. And about 10 years ago, we partnered to launch our first gold open access journal with our sister society, the Physiological Society and Wiley. And about 5 years ago, we launched a second gold open access journal with Oxford University Press called Function. And in about 4 years ago, we launched a pilot program called Read, Publish, and Join, which was our version of a transformative agreement that combined reading and publishing in one arrangement with our library customer. But in addition, we also added in membership for authors that were publishing at that institution. And during the time that I've been at APS, which is just over 5 years from this past fall, we've been quite focused on trying to promote the benefits of open access to our community and to our authors, and to really educate to try to drive change. So we've held webinars and stakeholder engagement opportunities to really talk about the many benefits that moving towards open access could have for the discipline. But what we've observed is that if you look 5 years ago, when I first joined, the amount of open access content that we were publishing was quite low. It was about 2% of our article output. And even with education and awareness campaigns and increased funder requirements, it still has yielded relatively slow organic open access growth. We've been averaging about 3% growth per year during this time period. So as we started to think about how we would move forward, we began to think, well, what can we do to accelerate that progress? And I will tell you that I was so delighted when I was invited to speak today because Japan is really an essential partner to enable APS publications to successfully transition to open access. Japan institutions represent the second largest subscribing country after the US for APS journals. Japan is number four in article consumption of APS journal content. And Japan also represents fourth in submissions to APS journals in terms of country representation. And we're really honored to publish content from Japan. We publish from many universities in Japan, the University of Tokyo, Osaka University among them. And we've created a special collection celebrating the research that APS has published from Japan. And so we would invite you to take a picture of this QR code if you would like to take a look at some of the wonderful physiology research that we are publishing. And so back to our journey about trying to move and accelerate our progress with open access. Um, I thought it might be helpful if I shared with you some of the considerations that APS took into account when trying to decide how to move forward with our open access activities. And many of the characteristics that I will share with you about APS are actually true for many smaller publishers and society organizations. And the first is our size, just in terms of staff and the size of our portfolio. We needed to make sure that whatever we were going to do for a program of activity was something that we could sustain and could manage with the size organization that we had. And then in addition, APS will never be a high volume publisher. It's not really the nature of the discipline, and it's not really the nature of what our community wants to see for our portfolio. So taking into consideration whether or not we would ever be able to publish enough volume to make certain types of open access models successful was a key consideration. In addition, we also had significant concerns about equity and access challenges for our community with gold open access article processing charges in particular. Um, for our community, we have many members, many authors who are very well funded, but we also equally have quite a large number that are in smaller institutions, smaller colleges around the world that simply don't have the same level of funding to support article processing charges. We also found with the pilot that we launched, our Read, Publish, and Join pilot, that transformative agreements don't scale particularly well for small publishers. It's very difficult for institutions to really take the time to sit down with a small publisher if the total volume of our article output isn't very high. They need to kind of prioritize where the volume is coming from. And so we found that to be a tricky component of the pilot that we launched. We also really wanted to make sure that anything that we were doing would enable us to continue to make investments to serve our community and to continue to develop our program. And we also felt very strongly that whatever we did with our portfolio, that we wanted to make sure that we were communicating the value of the final version of record as being the primacy of what we really want to put forward to the world. And then, of course, naturally, like any organization, we needed to be concerned about long-term sustainability as an essential component to ensure that APS and the discipline continues to thrive. So, where we've landed is that coming in 2025, we will begin piloting a new model that will support the open access policy requirements in Japan, and it's called Subscribe to Open, which is an emerging model that started in the US with a small publisher. And we're intending to adopt this model for our 10 self-published primary research journals. And as I've said, we'll start piloting in 2025. And how Subscribe to Open works is that it basically transforms the traditional library subscription model to facilitate open access publishing. So it uses the basic infrastructure that many institutions already use. And one of the beauties of the model is that there are no open access article processing charges. And if enough institutions participate or subscribe to our research journals in any given year, APS will open the content for that year and put the content under a Creative Commons license. And if a journal does not meet a subscription threshold, the journal remains gated with continued access by paying subscribers. But our version of Subscribe to Open also includes an open access guarantee for authors at institutions who purchase our packages. We sell in many different ways to the institutional market. Customers can buy individual journals, one or two of our journals or more. We also sell to many institutions that take our entire package of journals, which is called our digital library. And then in addition, we have a smaller package, which is a subset of our program called the American Journal of Physiology package. For customers who are taking one of our two packages, we will be offering an open access guarantee to any author at that institution, no matter whether we reach our thresholds or not. And we're excited about this because we think it will accelerate the amount of open access that we can actually deliver in any given year. Oops. And so you might be asking which journals will be participating in this program. As I said, it's our 10 self-published research journals. That includes all 7 of our American Journal of Physiology journals, Journal of Applied Physiology, Journal of Neurophysiology, and Physiological Genomics. We also have a number of journals that will not be participating, at least in the early days of this pilot. They include our reviews journals. We have several. Those will be business as usual. They will remain gated, free to publish, with an optional article processing charge if somebody wishes to publish open access in them. We also will continue to provide free access and both to publish and read our education journal, Advances in Physiology Education. In addition, we have several partner published journals that are going to continue as they currently are. We have 2 gold open access journals, Function, that's published by Oxford University Press, and Physiological Reports that is published by Wiley, and we partner with the Physiological Society on that journal. And in addition, we have another journal called Comprehensive Physiology that's moving to publish original research in 2025, and that will remain gated with an optional article processing charge as well. So for us, the Subscribe to Open pilot that we are launching is really about sustainable and equitable publishing. And we really are excited about this model because it enables us to have no open access article processing charges for these journals. And this will eliminate barriers to access and reduce financial burden for authors. And it will also help us address global inequities and support our global community. In addition, we also think that Subscribe to Open will be helpful because it will enable compliance with many funder policies around the world. And our primary objective when we were trying to think about where we wanted to take our program next was really to ensure that our authors can meet their funder requirements. That was critically important for us with our decision making. So just to summarize very briefly, some of the exclusive S2O library incentives that we are offering with this program. As I mentioned earlier, we'll have the open access guarantee for our package subscribing customers. We also are providing all of our S2O customers with licensed term access to our legacy content that goes back as far as 1889 and it goes through 1998 and has many seminal works that are still read very much today. We also are offering special discounts to institutions that commit through long-term agreements by January 31st, 2025. And we'll also ensure that participating in Subscribe to Open is really the best way to guarantee continued access to APS content. And so one of the things that we really like about Subscribe to Open is that it's really done in close partnership with the library community. And it's really essential partnership in the journey. And we have many libraries around the world that have been very supportive of this model. And I've included a quote from a colleague, Catherine Brooks at Columbia University, who I thought really said it very well when she said that it's Subscribe to Open is the most equitable open access model that is simple for libraries to implement, and that it's also an inclusive way of moving open access forward. And close partnership with our community is really important. As I mentioned earlier in the presentation, we began 4 or 5 years ago with our Publish with Purpose. And we've now built on that concept with our Partner with Purpose, because we believe that partnering with the library community is really essential for success of this program. And the major components of the Partner with Purpose program include our open access guarantee for package customers. We've also developed a library advisory group that's helping inform our approach to make sure that it is user-friendly for the library community. And we've also committed to transparent reporting so that it's very clear how as a nonprofit organization, the funds are used to meet our mission. And so if you're interested in seeing how we're approaching that, feel free to take a quick snapshot of this QR code as well. And so in closing, I just wanted to say that an open future will really raise global collaboration. It works to connect all global communities in the scholarly ecosystem. It enables communication of science to the broadest global audience, and it will enable us to champion the discipline by extending the reach of research across the globe. And we really are excited to make sure that that's done in a fair and sustainable manner. And with that, I will close, and I would like to thank you again for having me here today, and I will look forward to listening to the other talks.